Guys. What's going on? Guys? I was gonna do this live about women moving back home with their parents. But guys, you know how we've covered the UK being cooked, right? Guys, this live is it's gonna be a tough one, right? Because guys, the UK is so cooked. There, okay. People don't realize when they say that we have a immigration problem here. We actually really don't compared to the UK, right? Because guys, I used to live down in South Texas. And guys, here I'll drop the link. Because anyone who's seen this story, anyone who's coming up, guys, hit the link, right? Because guys, once again, there's a lot to get into here. And I had some sources, but Axel Justice Warrior, he just dropped a really good video about this, and we'll go over this, right? But guys, this is bad, okay? Guys, I used to live in South Texas, and a lot of Mexicans and Hispanics who come here, their kids will go to school, they'll speak English, they'll learn English, and over time, they'll be Jonathan Martinez, Stacy Hernandez, right? But a lot of the people from sandy areas will not. They will not. They do not want to assimilate. Keyshawn, what's up, dude? Jubilee is here. Yeah. Now, guys, please code your language, please. Okay, guys, we can do topics like this, but I really need you to code your language. All right, you know what I'm saying? So, guys, there's this suicidal empathy going on, right? Meaning, the British have been taught to hate themselves, okay? They've been taught to hate themselves, and they're like, why is it that the majority of such and such is white? First of all, okay, let me start over, all right, guys? Western Europe is cooked. France, Denmark, Norway, they're cooked. The migration from the sandy areas to Western Europe is the largest human migration since World War II. And it's all because their governments are super liberal, and they let all these people in. Because I don't get why you would let people into your country who are diametrically opposed to your values. And that's put a 1 if you agree. Western values are the best values there are. Western values are so good that people can use them against us. You know what I'm saying? That's how good the West is. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, wanting to help the rest of the world, right? Setting the standard. These are things that make the West great, but they've been used against us. What a joke. Guys, here, I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, check this out. Here you go. Watch this, guys.
For the English.
No, I think England's for everybody.
I think England's for everybody, governor. I think it's for everybody. Now, guys, I said this once before. English, Scots, Welsh, and Irish are indigenous peoples to the British Isles. They're indigenous peoples. They're not white people, guys. They're not white. Guys, if you go to England and they say that something's predominantly white, it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be predominantly English because you're in England. You're in England. That'd be like saying, why am I in Japan and the majority of the city council in my city are Japanese? You're in Japan, you goof. What are you talking about? What is this demonic foolishness? Europe is the only place on earth where the indigenous peoples have been convinced into not wanting to defend their own way of life. Put a 1 if you agree, guys. Watch this.
I live in London and it's such a diverse place. I think everybody's welcome. I have lots of diverse friends. It really doesn't bother me. Everybody come, do what you want to do. As long as there's no crime, I'm happy.
You don't care either?
Yeah, same as us.
So you don't care what the demographics of England are. What if it becomes 99% non-English white people?
I mean, as long as people are contributing to the economy and doing what they need to do.
Look at that, guys. Look at that. Look at that. This chick right here is the problem. He said if it becomes 99% not English, actually, that's all right, Governor. I don't see a problem if none of the people look like me, even though I'm in England. Guys, right here is the problem. Right here. Isn't it funny, guys, how they talk about British colonization, but now it's going the other way and no one's saying anything? And guys, Canada is getting bad too. You know, Secret, thanks for being a member, man. I really appreciate you, pal. Can you imagine, guys, like putting these two idiots in charge of anything?
Not stabbing people, not shooting people, not hurting people. Do what you gotta do. I'm from a family that is like, it's not all white, so to me it really doesn't matter.
Well, who's not white in your family? Both your parents are white.
So both my parents are white, but I've got cousins that are mixed race, and then
I bet you do.
Well.
She looks like that time. Hey guys, she'll be a well one day too, guys. And what's crazy is, guys, there's so many wells in the UK, and guys, blacks are only 3.5% of the population. Blacks are only 3.5% of the population in the UK, and there's wells over there. Insane.
it's a mixed race. Their kids are mixed race. Like, it really doesn't bother me. I'm happy with anybody.
But is it still England at that point if all the English people aren't in the country? If it's majority not English, ethnically English people, is it?
Now, that's a great question to ask, guys. You know? Is it still England if there's no English people left? Answer is no. Is it still Japan if there's no Japanese people left? Answer is no. Is it still a Samoa if there's no Samoan people left? No. Is it Germany if there's no Germans left? No. Insane.
England.
You could say that about anywhere. I could rock up in Thailand and be like, oh, I'm going to live in Thailand for 10 years. Oh, well, you can't live in Thailand because you're not Thai. But I want to live here. I want to contribute to the economy. So.
Yeah, but most people, like in Thailand, for example, you can't even buy land if you're not Thai.
See? Thailand doesn't play that mess. They put a cap on people, even though there's tons of well-to-do expats over there, you know, who are bringing in money. They still have a bottleneck and still have a limited amount of people who can come in. Actually, I don't want to live in Thailand, Governor. Hello. Please. Guys, this is what I'm talking about, right? This is all going on because we let these thunderheads vote and we put them in politics. You guys know what I always say.
A woman in politics is like a donkey doing calculus.
Guys, hit the like button on the way in, right?
You're not like ethnically Thai. Why do people say black people can be British when a white person is born in like China? Nobody calls them Chinese.
Now he's getting British and English mixed up, guys. anyone can be British. British is a nationality. Okay? English is an ethnicity. Do we understand this, guys? Do we understand this? British and English and Scottish aren't the same. British, if I were to move to the UK, and God help me if I ever fell on my head and did that, I could be a British citizen. But I can never be English. I can never be Scottish. I can never be Welsh or Irish. What a joke.
But if a black person's born British, all of a sudden they're British. Why do you think that is?
I think it's to do with the fact that if you're born and bred in Britain, then you're going to be classed as British. I don't look at someone's skin colour and go, oh my God, you're not British.
And there you go, guys. See? There you go.
Look at someone's skin colour and go, okay, well, you speak like a British person, you're here.
But he doesn't look like a British person.
Well, I think everybody looks like a British person.
Everyone looks like a British.
Now, once again, he's getting British and English mixed up, guys. Okay? Because she is correct in saying that anyone can look like a British person, fine. But we all know what he means.
If they live in Britain, then yeah, why not? Why am I going to judge someone on their looks?
I'm not saying you have to judge them, but who built the country? It was white British people.
See that, guys? Now, he just stated a fact. White British people, well, English, Welsh, and Scots and Irish built the country.
You're judging someone 2 questions ago on whether they've got heels or whether they've got makeup. So the questions are done.
I'm sorry, it's sad that you guys think that way because your country's getting replaced. You're saying like these people don't stab. They literally make grooming gangs.
We're on the
I hope you don't get.
See? Their heads in the sand, guys. I saved this video because this is exactly what's wrong with the UK right now. All summed up in one video. All summed up in one video.
By one of these.
We're on the wrong podcast here. So.
Look, I mean, look, your daughter's gonna get by some Pakistanis or Africans.
I don't think that's true.
You can look at the statistics.
Really
look who's doing the and stabbing.
Also, how do you know that I'm going to have a daughter? How do you know I'm not going to have a son?
I mean, I hope not. You'll put him in danger. So I hope you don't, because you think it this way. But it's sad.
I could say lots of things to you, but on that note, I think I'm on the wrong podcast, and I'd like to see you later.
Like England for the English.
No, I think England's
guys,
for everybody.
Here's the thing, guys. The UK literally did say that there's a 2-tiered justice system. There's a legal standard for white guys. I mean, for non-ethnic men, I'll just say white guys. You know what I mean? For white dudes and for everyone else. That means that if an Englishman or a Scotsman or a Welshman commits a crime, right? They will get more time than a Pakistani guy or an Afghani guy. Absolutely insane.
You've been had. You've been took. You've been hoodwinked. Bamboozled. Led astray. Run amok.
Absolutely insane, guys. Absolutely insane. Why? Why? Come on, guys. How far have the Brits fallen, guys? How far? How is this an actual thing? How do you go from a Britishman who were in who were in World War II to this? Now, guys, we'll actually look at the story here, right? Because one thing that I can say is that people did agree that that the police guys, once again, are completely useless. And guys, I can't show the actual footage because it's so bloody and nasty. you know. But there's people out there who honestly think that this is some kind of psyop. It's not, guys. Put a 1 if you guys think that the government and the police have been anti-white in the UK for decades now. Seriously. Yes. Uh-oh.
The murder of 18-year-old Henry Nowak has triggered an intense debate about religious blades in Britain. So reform, which
so basically this young kid, he was a 19-year-old college student. I think he accidentally walked into someone's yard. It was this crazy guy who was a Sikh. Now, guys, don't talk bad about Sikhs. Sikhs have fought with us on our side for almost every single modern war. They're good people, right? This one guy, he just happened to be a crazy guy. Okay? And he kept getting out. He has anger management problems, all this foolishness. And I think he accidentally, and now they've banned carrying knives, but Sikhs, because of their religious thing, they have to carry knives. Okay? So he's walking along. And
America is watching.
And this guy jumped out of the bushes and deleted him. So he's sitting there on the ground trying to hide, but he's hurt. And he's like, I've been stabbed. And the perpetrator goes, oh, he was being racist towards me. So the cops don't even believe this poor kid who got stabbed like 6 times. You guys will see the actual footage. They're treating him like he's dirt. Guys, what happened to this kid is what they say actually happened to George Floyd. Okay? This kid wasn't a criminal. He was out there minding his own business, and the cops were just callous and watched him perish. Here you go, guys. What's this?
America is watching. The murder of Henry Nowak is no longer just a British story. It's not just confined to the United Kingdom, because all across America tonight, the media are looking at Britain and asking one question. How did it get this bad?
When the left wing is in charge, you're not safe. Well, unless you're a member of the protected class du jour. The entire system of policing there is infected by the woke edicts of their overlords. Digwa himself was eventually arrested, sentenced to life in prison. But get this, he may only do as little as 21 years. His victim, however, never reached the age of 21. The influx of migrants, mass immigration, refugees, the coddling of criminals, the targeting in many ways, at least they feel that way, of native-born Brits, the old British system, in decline. I think it's
Kevin says they'll hurt black people too. But guys, once again, guys, the only people in the UK, guys, here we have to stop and understand that we're talking about the UK, so the dynamic is different. Guys, we talk about anti-white racism over here, guys. It's in full swing over there. I'm dead serious, guys. I'm dead serious. The amount of self-hate that the English, the Scots, the Welsh, and the Irish have is insane. Where they're basically making laws against each other and putting minorities so far over them that it's ridiculous, guys. It's ridiculous.
in despair.
It's despicable. Every single cop on that scene should be fired.
I have to give some responsibility here to Keir Starmer. This is Keir Starmer's Britain. You know, he is Neville Chamberlain 2.0.
You know, when I put my ex-cop hat on, knives obviously can kill, but so can the woke mind virus.
Imagine if the races were reversed.
Right. Yeah.
There would be.
Oh yeah, guys. If it had been a black kid who got poked by a white kid and the cops let him sit there and bleed out, oh man, all hell would have broken loose. You know? Talk about a double standard.
Riots in the street. There were.
A white teenage kid is dying on a street in England, and you can hear him tell police he can't breathe, just like George Floyd in 2020. So why do some victims become symbols while others do not?
And the identity, the us against them, that's not something that white people ever sought. That's not something that white people ever looked for.
Hey guys, once again, this is not about white. This is about the indigenous peoples of the British Isles. Can you imagine if in Japan, a Japanese person got poked by a Pakistani dude, and the Japanese police didn't just stood there and did nothing? It would never happen. It would never, ever happen.
At all. But it's been imposed. And it's here. And it's happening. Why is it that every...
guys, do me a favor, guys. Follow me on TikTok, because I only need like a couple more followers. I can do lives over here, right? So guys, sorry guys, follow me on TikTok. All right, go over here, guys. I need 5 more followers, and I can start going live over here. So yeah, guys, that will be cool to host lives, and then we could talk ish to people and argue. It'd be fun, you know.
Single other group is able to have an identity other than white people.
This is how America now sees us in Britain. They cannot believe what our country has become. The land of Churchill, Magna Carta, common law, now being held up as a warning sign. The grooming gang scandal, the Manchester Arena bombing, Valdo Callicane, Axel Rudabakana, the illegal migrant boat crisis in the Channel. Again and again, critics say British institutions ducked difficult questions. They avoided uncomfortable truths.
Yep, that's
and
true.
put political sensitivities ahead of public safety, all at the altar of so-called anti-racism. And now, after the killing of Henry Nowak, the rest of the world is asking whether Britain's leaders have completely lost the courage to say what ordinary people...
And guys, the police chief had to come out and apologize for his officers.
...people can plainly see. America is watching the murder of Henry Nowak.
Do that, guys. Poor bastard.
In my opinion, I feel that the police are now so racist towards anyone white or English, or anyone who even looks like me, I would never dare speak to them to report crime.
Isn't that crazy, guys? This old English chick sounds like a black person, right? Isn't that crazy? Guys, look at this. Look at this right here. She sounds like how I would sound when I talk about the cops back in the day. I avoid the cops at all costs because they wouldn't help me, because they're against people like me. Guys, you have like 140-year-old English chicks. Guys, that's how bad things have got in the UK. That's how cooked they are. And for what? And you wonder why so many young people or so many affluent people, successful people are leaving the UK. They're leaving.
And AJ, still 75 to 78% of the UK is still white.
Yeah.
Talk about what you have less than like 25% of the population. 75% has to suffer because of it, dude. This is crazy.
But they have so many laws to actually put that 25%, not just equal to, but over the majority. Absolutely insane.
I would not email them or phone them. I do not trust them not to be racist towards me. And at a residents' meeting on Thursday, I was not able to come here last Thursday because I went to a residents' police meeting. I told the police straight, I will never report crime to you. I will never speak to a police person alone. I do not trust you. You are racist towards the English and white people.
Let's go, Grams. Let's go, Grammy Grams. She's not playing games. Look at that, guys. Royston, he's over in London right now. Stay safe, my friend. Guys, thanks all of you guys who followed me on TikTok, man. I appreciate that. So, yeah, guys, I need 4 more followers, and I can start doing live streams. So, yeah. So,
and we will not stand for it.
Someone says sad times when an elderly lady is too scared to contact the police to report crimes. Two-tier policing must end immediately.
And guys, here's the thing: these type of policies and this type of thing, it's putting white people in the same position. Like, you can't put white people that are predominantly the population, predominantly do all the hard work in the country and stuff, in this position where, oh yeah, they're white, English colonized the world, so they owe us and they should just have to suffer. It's the same thing that freaking women are doing to men. That's why men are getting pissed off.
Yep.
This is not a good strategy of trying to make white British people have to pay for some debt of the past because they're going to get pissed.
Yeah.
And that's what you don't want.
In their own countries. And guys, there have been violent protests all across the UK. It's about time. You know what I'm saying?
18 years old, was stabbed to death by a Sikh man, Vikram Digwa, with a 21-inch ceremonial blade. He was stabbed 5 times. The details I'm about to share are distressing, but frankly, I am so frustrated and angry about this case, everyone needs to hear them. Henry drowned to death in his own blood as police handcuffed
him. Guys, hit the super chat button because this will not be monetized. It won't. There's no way that it's going to stay monetized.
Him because Digwa accused Henry Nowak of racism. That claim has now been proven to be a lie. Digwa, of course, went on to stab Nowak 5 times. Let me just repeat this. As Henry Nowak told police officers that he couldn't breathe, he was handcuffed, all because police thought there was a claim of racism when there wasn't. The police prioritized hurty words claims over a boy dying on the floor next to them. Well, the Sikh murderer's mother, an Indian citizen pictured here, has also been convicted for removing the murder weapon from the scene of the crime. Right.
At that. Guys, I have been on TikTok. Matter of fact, I need to start recording myself on TikTok, guys. I've been arguing with British people on their TikTok lives about this. I'm like, how am I a black guy in America and I care more about your country than you do? You know what I mean? That's crazy. Well, actually, it's not fair. It's not fair that that we all know about the migrants coming in. Please, what a joke. Flat Highway, what's up, dude? Thanks for the $10. He said the reason why the UK left EU was because the men would move to Eastern Europe and stay there. Yeah.
You're gonna see what was the Scandinavian country that banned Thai passports because so many.
I think it was Sweden. Yeah.
Was it Norway or something like that?
Yeah,
because so many other men.
Yeah.
You are scaring the hoes.
What were you saying?
So many of the men were flying in. We're going to Thailand to get wives instead of dealing with the feminist crazy women in their home country. You're gonna see that all over Europe now. Watch next 10 to 15 years.
She needs to be deported back to India, doesn't she? No ifs, no buts. We cannot allow foreign criminals to ever settle in this country, particularly one that's complicit in trying to cover up her evil son's murder. But back to the police for a second, because they have once again failed us, haven't they? All because of racism. Well, it seems to me the only racism in the police force these days is the institutional racism against white British people. How many
What's crazy? Did you guys see all the books coming out in studies that actually show that there was more white slaves sold in the Barbary slave trade than there were black slaves in the transatlantic slave trade? Isn't that nuts? Because the Barbary slave trade, it went on for so much longer. It went on for like 400, 500, 600 years. You know what I'm saying? insane.
Pakistani rape gangs have been covered up by the police for the sake of diversity. How many more terrorist attacks will slip through the net because of Islamophobia? How many more white boys will die because of fake
Remember that? You ever see that video where that guy would show up to these anti-ICE and different lefty protests with a freaking Trump flag, and he would walk around, yell and screaming pro-Trump, and the people would follow him around, but they wouldn't touch him because he's black.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
accusations of racism. I am done with all of it. I really am furious.
Look at that guy.
No Sikh person should be allowed to carry a knife in Britain. It is mad. I couldn't give a monkey's about your religion. We are either...
Isn't it funny how they're like, oh, Americans ban guns? Whereas there's no guns in the UK and people still get randomly deleted. You know what I'm saying?
all equal under the law, or we are not. These special religious exemption laws are not equality. They are giving minority groups elevated special status. Let me repeat. No religious minority groups, or any religious group, frankly, races or ethnicities, should ever be allowed a free pass to carry weapons in Britain. If you want to carry a knife for your religious reasons, then go to a country that allows it. We don't want that here in Britain. And yes, I am deeply intolerant.
Yeah. Royce says that the Hampshire police force, where this occurred, they've been swamped with guys. Their website shows their whole anti-racism agenda, which basically says that if they're going to treat white people worse, it's nuts. That's on their website.
We need to be more intolerant of things that have no place in British society. Henry Nowak didn't have to die. Left-wing obsession with multiculturalism let him die. It's another death on the altar of diversity and inclusion. And those police officers need to face serious consequences for their failure to do the bare minimum of their job.
Hey, Kevin, the Native Americans owned slaves too. You know, a lot of them did. The Choctaw, the Creek. I know that, guys. You know, the last group of people in North America to own slaves were the Creek Indians. Guys, they had thousands of slaves. And guys, this is after Juneteenth and everything. The U.S. government had to go in and tell them, hey, you know, this whole slavery thing is not a thing. But so slaves there didn't even know that they were quote unquote free. You know.
So for now, I'm waiting for the statues, for Keir Starmer and Angela Rayner to take a knee for Henry, Instagram squares to be filled by left-wing activists with white pictures. But something tells me the left just don't care because he is white.
That's true. Guys, did he lie? Did he tell a lie? Look at that, guys. Poor bastard. You guys, I don't want to show the footage because it's pretty bad. It really, really, really is. You know? Poor kid. It really, really is that. Guys, he literally said, I can't breathe, just like George
Black
Floyd
people
did.
have been complaining about
Here we go.
the incompetence of the police for a very long time. But when Black people complain about the police, you know...
Look at this, guys. Actually, Black people have problems. Shut up. What a joke. Look at this, guys. They can't even see white people as human beings. Look at that. Here you go. I am Black and I live in the U.S. I can say that you are a total clown and it is sad that you can't even see this poor young man as a human being. Something is seriously wrong with you. and you need some help. People like you are the reason why the UK is cooked. Post.
Sorry to get on my soapbox, and I don't usually do this, but it's something that it's just, you know, when you need to talk and get something off your chest, I need to do that, and I haven't seen anyone else say this. In Henry Novak's case, the police have come out and said in those 3 minutes that we've witnessed in the video, there was nothing those officers could have done differently, and also I've seen there's nothing those officers could have done to save his life.
Yeah, which is crazy. Because, guys, they didn't say this about George Floyd. You know what I'm saying? Ridiculous.
Those two are very different takes on that situation. No, I understand there's nothing you could have done to save his life. But where I've seen the line, there's nothing different we could have done in those 3 minutes, that is where I draw the line and think that that statement is such an insult. What you could have done differently in those 3 minutes is really simple. Comfort him. Hold him like you cared. Let him know he's going to be okay. Of course, we know he wasn't ever going to be okay, but that does not stop the fact he knew what was happening. He knew he was dying.
Hold
he just
him?
needed
What?
comfort. He just needed to be believed for those 3 minutes. Okay, I'm really sorry, Henry. We're here. We're here to help you. Tell us what you need. How are you feeling? Like, just fucking talk to him so that his last words weren't, I can't breathe and I've been stabbed. The last words he likely heard were, I don't think you have, mate. Are you fucking kidding me? You're telling me there's nothing different you could have done? That absolutely.
Welcome to being a wokey woke, right? Wokey woke policies, right? Who did you vote for, you dunce, right? Right, guys?
Absolutely is, and it's that. It was comfort him. It was make him feel safe. Whatever the outcome, it could have been different in how you dealt with his last moments on this planet. Now that you know what was actually happening, the fact that they have come out and said there's nothing different we could have done. Yes, there is. You took away his dignity. You took away his right to a peaceful death. You took away everything from that boy in those moments. And this is what I can't get over, is those words. There's nothing different we could have done. And
Now, guys, here's a news story, and then we'll actually get into Axel Justice Warrior's video, because he has a really, really, really good video.
Also, have you seen the back and forth on Piers Morgan about this? Where Mark Lamont Hill gets lit up.
We need to abolish the police. Yeah, that's a smart move, please.
You've been had. You've been took. You've been hoodwinked, bamboozled, led astray, run amok.
Poor kid. You know? Absolutely insane.
What's your name, mate? Huh?
This was the moment officers from Hampshire Police arrived looking for 18-year-old student Henry Nowak. A phone call made to police claimed victim.
Now this is a guy that stabbed him, and then they're like, he was being racist. So the cops, of course, believe the guy who attacked this kid for no reason. And stabbed him 5 times. 5. And as the kids guys, he died because his lungs filled with blood. So Evil Eddie, he actually couldn't breathe. So when he said, I can't breathe, it's because his lungs were filling up with blood, buddy.
From Digwa, seen here, had been the victim of a racist attack. And Henry Nowak, the man on the floor, was the alleged aggressor. But unknown to officers, that claim was untrue. And the teenager on the ground, Henry Nowak, had been stabbed by the man claiming to be the victim. This is what happened next.
What's happened to you, right? Been stabbed. You've been stabbed? Whereabouts? Don't think you have, mate.
I don't think you have been. Look at that.
After telling officers he was stabbed, Henry Nowak was placed in handcuffs. He died later that night. 9 times Henry Nowak told officers that he could not breathe. The student said multiple times that he had been stabbed. Henry's parents said their son died in an inhumane and degrading manner and called for the police to answer questions. This was their son the night of the attack. There is now an investigation into the officers who dismissed him and failed to recognize his distress. Henry's killer, Vikram Digwa, must now serve a minimum of 21 years behind bars for taking the life of a teenager with a Sikh ceremonial knife. And now, one man's action has had consequences for his community and been seized by politicians who declared this a scandal.
It is absolutely right that the IOPC are looking at this. There are clearly serious questions that need to be addressed, not least how accusations of racism informed the decision-making in this case. But my thoughts, I'm sure the thoughts of everybody in the country, are with Henry's family. His life has been stolen.
Speaking yesterday, Henry Nowak's father warned against his son's death being politicized. This
positive discrimination,
preferential treatment from the police.
This is two-tier Britain, and I'm totally opposed to it.
Guys, and there have been seriously studies that are showing that there is a two-tiered system, one for minorities and one for indigenous people to the British Isles.
Opposed to DEI, I'm opposed to positive discrimination. I believe if we're going to live in a free and fair country, everybody must be judged equally on their merits.
Today, the far-right's leader, Tommy Robinson, rallied troops outside Southampton police station, declaring...
You guys see the language? He said, rally troops. Rally troops, please.
Institutional bias. But claims of two-tier policing in favor of minorities clash with numerous government reports, who are now being asked to review rules around ceremonial weapons. As division widens, the consensus is over the concern on police conduct. Of the 4 officers at the scene, 3 are still serving and not subject to any restrictions. And now another trial looms for Henry Nowak's killer. Today, Vikram Digwa was back in court facing additional charges of possession of an offensive weapon. He appeared in court alongside Moga Singh and Gurpreet Digwa. Vikram Digwa will appear before the magistrates' court again on June 9th. He, his father and brother are yet to enter a plea.
Well, our senior political correspondent, Paul McNamara, is in Westminster now. Paul, what have MPs been saying about all this?
Yeah, well, the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, appeared to give a statement in Commons earlier on. There were questions and answers. This case,
anti-racism, allowing people to dangerous ideology of so-called anti-racism, allowing people to be treated differently based on race must end. Extreme activists have hijacked the policy-making process, and this is where it has led. It has no place in policing. It has no place anywhere. So does the Home Secretary agree that the so-called police anti-racism commitment must urgently be withdrawn?
It should, because there's no reason why a person can assault another person with a deadly weapon and then say, "Oh, well, this person was racist," and the cops automatically take the person's side. That's crazy.
And this government will always ensure that in fulfilling their sacred duties to keep our communities safe, that the police always act without fear and favour and always ensure that every citizen is treated equally. But I'm sure he wouldn't want to do down or ignore historic and legitimate concerns that there have been from some communities about institutional racism.
There you go, right? Guys, what do I always say? Don't elect 304s. Don't. Guys, come on.
A woman in politics is like a donkey doing calculus.
I mean, let's be honest,
as well as differential treatment.
So the Home Secretary there saying, look, there have been times in the not too distant past where the police have failed some communities, but she came back to this line and the repeated variations of it time and again, quote, "All are equal before the law. The police must always act without fear or favour towards any one group." Tonight, I understand from sources close to the Home Secretary that she considers the wording in this document to be, quote, clumsy, and that, I understand from sources close to the Home Secretary, the National Police Chief Council are now reviewing the wording to ensure that there is no ambiguity. And so,
what religion they have is I can only speak for how I felt having watched that footage, and I know how Nigel felt having watched that footage, and I've spoken to so many serving police officers who have.
Here, guys, here. Let's do this. Here you go. Because here, and then we'll actually look at the Piers Morgan.
Nigel
and of course, this dunderheaded broad that got cooked by Jordan Peterson. She got cooked by this guy. So here we go, guys.
Farage making claims that white lives matter, which is a slogan that was used by, the UK's largest white supremacist group. Are you happy with him using that phrase?
No, guys. What did she just say that Nigel Farage said? She said that he said that white lives matter, right? Okay. Now watch this.
Kathy, what Nigel Farage said today was that white lives matter as much as black lives. Do you disagree with that statement?
Oops. You left that part out, didn't you? You absolute dunce. Look at that, guys. What an absolute joke. You see that? You see that, guys? And she calls herself a journalist. What are you talking about?
You seem to be conducting an interview with me, but I'm trying to ask you the question.
Well, you're with me. No, he's telling you to actually get the quote right. And this is how you know these idiots are disingenuous demons, man.
Whether you disagree with the statement
because
that
you're the
firstly,
politician.
I'm correcting, with respect, Kathy, I'm correcting you on this because to leave out the second half of the sentence, I think is deliberately misrepresentative and misleading.
Right. Colin, did he lie?
No.
Did he tell a lie? He said you are intentionally misrepresenting this.
Yeah.
And guys, we will no longer call them British. Okay? Guys, we're calling them indigenous peoples to the British Isles. Okay?
I gotta drop off, AJ. I'll talk to you later, okay?
Right. Cool. Take it easy. Yeah, guys, they're called indigenous peoples. You know what I mean? Because they are. Why is it that the Europeans are the only indigenous peoples that aren't allowed to protect themselves? Isn't that crazy, Colin?
Yeah.
You know, it's nuts.
So Nigel said that white lives matter as much as black lives. And my question to you is, do you disagree with that statement?
And my question to you is about Nigel Farage's claims of anti-white prejudice. I mean, there is overwhelming evidence, isn't there, of police racism over the decades against black minority ethnic people. You've got to go back to the Scarman report, the McPherson report.
No, wait for it, Colin. Wait for it.
The Casey review. There are decades of racism by the police against black minority ethnic people. Do you accept that that is a fact?
I'm kind of stunned that you couldn't bring yourself to say that you agree with the statement that white lives matter as much as black lives.
Irony that a guy named Yusuf is actually taking a woman.
Now later on, she goes, the majority of police officers are white. You're in the UK. That'd be like saying, well, Colin, why are all the Japanese police officers Japanese in Japan?
Right.
You dunce.
Woman called Kathy Newman to town in the UK over the fact that the narrative in the UK post the release of the body cam video.
Yeah, salamander. This is what I was telling all my Canadian subs in my UK subs. Guys, Indians here, we have a different view, right, Colin? Indians here are all doctors and lawyers and pharmacists, right? They're all like rich. The average Indian household, even of one person, makes 6 figures. Okay? But the Indians in the UK and in Canada, whoa, dude, that's a little bit different. A little bit different.
Video of Henry Nowak that we actually talked about in a previous video on this channel is the fact that your anger about that particular situation, that's actually the real issue. The fact that you saw that body cam video where you had the Southampton police look at this situation right here where a man was on the floor claiming that he was stabbed. You had a sick individual who said that he acted in self-defense. You had another individual say, hey, this guy is bleeding. And they decided to tell the man that was on the ground, I don't think you have, mate. I don't think you have been stabbed.
Oh.
What's happened to you, right? You've been stabbed? Whereabouts? I don't think you have, mate. Hand?
I can't breathe.
Put the hand in the cuff, mate.
Yeah.
This is like
times
this has happened to us. You've been walking, you parked
Then they handcuffed him, and then, of course, he died in police custody just after they read him his Miranda rights.
He's saying he's been stabbed.
It's so sad, guys. It's so sad. You know, it's really, 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 really sad. This poor kid, like, he didn't deserve this. He was a man. He was 20. But imagine like how scared he was. You know?
You know, drowning in your own blood, dude, that has got to be like the top 3 worst possible ways to ever go out. That is.
It's just really, 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 really sad, guys. It's really sad, and just like how callous they are towards him too.
Where is it you think you've been stabbed? In the face? Oh no, but we have to check, don't we?
Right.
In the face?
Just get these back off, get their details and that, and I'll keep hold of them.
Please, brother, I can't breathe.
Should we
Right, keep you on your side, mate. You got to retrieve then. Saying to him, I'm keeping him on his side. We were set up when we had him here, but he didn't like it.
Look at that. No hurry, no call an ambulance, no nothing.
Yeah.
What's your name, mate?
Now watch, he passes
At the moment,
out.
you are under arrest. That's for assault, so you do not have to say anything. May harm in defence. If you do not mention when questioned, it's up to which you later line in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence, all right?
Because they were under the impression that the idea that this guy was stabbed was actually secondary to the fact that you had somebody who was of Indian origin, of Sikh origin, saying that actually he was an evil white racist. And yeah, it's disgusting. It's reprehensible. Don't think I didn't realize that that is the same Kathy Newman who humiliated herself against Jordan Peterson. And one of the most amazing...
This is how destructive that woke policies can be, is the level that the most anti-white racism there is in a white country. There's no reason why this should be going on in the UK, where 75 to 78% are ethnically white. Ah ha ha, there he is. Anonymous. I was hoping you'd show up. There he is. Guys, thank Anonymous, because he's the one who actually turned me onto this case. So thanks, man. But yeah, dude. This is crazy work, guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'm just letting you know I'm just on my break at work at the moment, so if I have to shoot off, then
yeah,
that's what's going to happen. I'll stay as long as I can.
So, Anonymous, here, the floor is yours. While you have a break, you know what I'm saying? Say what you want to say, and then it's all you.
I mean, what is there more to say? I mean, literally, the police, the state, held down a young, innocent man who did nothing wrong, while his barbaric torturer stood over the top of him, didn't call an ambulance, didn't tell the truth, hid the murder weapon, and his family conspired around him, causing him to die while his supposed protectors were around him, holding him down while he was literally drowning in his own blood. What else is there to say of what happened? Because they were so frightened that these barbarians knew the words to say. They knew to use "he's a racist" like it's some sort of magic words, like hocus pocus or something, and it's going to make this whole thing go away. Absolutely disgusting. And the fact that our politicians can't even come out and say, you know, we need to actually readdress all of these laws that we've put in place. Like, it's I'm absolutely disgusted by these people, and we need a complete clear out of all of these people in government, in all of these people in authority. They've all got to go. We need Rupert Lowe in charge and put this guy to execute him and deport his family. They're not. They cannot be trusted.
I just think it's funny once again that if the anonymous, what would have happened if the races were swapped?
Dude, oh my God! Like, I mean, this would be on every. You would hear about this in the South Pole. You'd hear about this on other planets.
Yeah. Because guys, this happened back in December.
Yeah, funny how they covered that up, and it was one brave person that managed to get the footage, the body. Otherwise, no one would have ever heard of this from happening.
Yeah,
this would have been kept quiet, and you can see why that they kept that quiet. And it's very funny. I did note there's a great image floating around from the body cam footage where it's like those blue gloves that those officers wear, where like to me it's very like striking when they wear those gloves where they're like, he's an unclean person. He has committed the greatest crime of our time, which is he's a racist. And they can't even touch him. They won't even touch him. They're afraid they'll be infected. It's such a great image. I'll see if I can find it. But it's absolutely horrific what's happened to that poor guy. And heads need to roll for this.
Things about this is that the Yusuf guy, who is an MP for the Reform Party, ended up doing this interview while in the car, but he actually had Newman's exact words on the Black Lives Matter riots hysteria being brought into the UK from Kathy Newman, and he threw it directly in her face.
Again, I don't understand why you can't bring yourself to confirm that you agree with the statement that white lives matter as much as black lives. Clearly, it is unacceptable for anyone to be discriminated against based on immutable characteristics by the police or anybody else. But, you know, Kathy, you've been conducting this interview on a premise that it is wholly inappropriate to watch that body cam footage and be furious. It is wholly inappropriate to conclude from watching that body cam footage that there should be some political ramifications for this. When in 2021, Kathy, you wrote op-ed after op-ed, article after article in newspapers like The Independent about George Floyd. In fact, let me quote you your own words. You said that you expressed delight that the BLM hashtag transported, and this is a direct quote from you, Kathy, transported the rage of George Floyd's death across the four corners of the globe.
Zia,
So
I've
the
said
point
to
that we
you,
are making.
Zia, I've said
Now, if you don't remember, the Black Lives Matter hysteria of 2020 related to the George Floyd incident was so hysterical that it not only was in the United States of America, well outside of the city of Minneapolis, in places that it should not have spread, but it also spread overseas to the UK. And that's where we get that ridiculous video of course, the London police being greeted with chants that were the hands up, don't shoot chants.
I'm standing outside the U.S. Embassy in London where thousands of protesters...
Guys, they had BLM stuff in Lagos, Nigeria. Is that not the dumbest thing that you've ever heard?
are demonstrating in solidarity with demonstrations going on across the United States. They're chanting George Floyd. They're chanting no justice, no peace.
Stupidest thing I've ever heard.
They put their hands up and chanted...
100% justified, 3 different investigations, about 4 autopsies, and an additional investigation by a prosecutor specifically elected to prosecute Officer Darren Wilson, all 100% cleared Darren Wilson, and yet Kathy Newman has no such video commentary condemning these people for taking this hoax from the United States of America that wasn't even true in the USA, bringing it to the UK and chanting it at the London police, who, by the way, don't even carry firearms. But in this particular case, she's very, very angry at the fact that people want to discuss the 2-tiered policing that we see for Henry Nowak. And by the way, during the course of this interview, when Yusuf brings up the fact that the Hampton police actually have their own website and it says that they have to prioritize minorities and accusations, or allegations as the super mayor would call them,
false allegations and not facts
of evil white racism over, the actual facts of the situation, then this lady just has nothing, in my opinion, in terms of integrity nor a backbone. And again, a guy named Yusuf is taking her to task, and brilliantly so.
I would also like to ask you about racism in the police, which we've just talked about. I mean, I wonder whether you think 92% of police officers in England and Wales are white.
Welsh and English people are white, you moron.
Can I tell you something, AJ? More white guys.
Math.
Yeah, more
white-
white guys died in the hands of the police than any other.
But
any
it doesn't
other
matter.
race person.
It doesn't matter. You don't go anonymous. You don't go to Japan and go, well, why are 90-something% of the police Japanese men, right?
No, yeah, but I know what she's trying to say though. She's trying to say the police are racist because so and so people either they get hurt or they die in the hands of the police, and the numbers just don't actually add up to that.
What I'm saying is, why wouldn't you have 90% of the police force in England be white or be English?
I think they are going to be guilty of systematic prejudice against
No.
white people. Do you think that's likely?
No.
Not only is it likely, it's demonstrable. You can go to Hampshire Police's website as we speak. You can read their, quote, race action plan that, by the way, was brought into being under a Tory government. And what that does is make crystal clear that the police must prioritize accusations of racism. And this is why it's actually really important, Kathy, because you're talking about the politicization of this. The reality is that the only way we are going to prevent systematic racism against any race or any religion inside the police is through political action.
And this is what we're going to talk about today, because the backlash against the backlash, the crackdown on dissent in the UK is in full swing, and it's absolutely reprehensible. But before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
Other people see opportunity. And
he's been using that forever. It's so funny when she actually went on his show. It's hilarious.
Feel an almost sort of gleeful relish at the prospect of provoking more violence.
Look at this guy. Actually, it's not right that people
James O'Brien.
protest. They want to use this for something that I don't like. Loser, guys. How did they go from the men who fought back the mustache man? You know what I mean? Who built?
Well, unfortunately, the people who went and actually fought, they were the ones that gave their lives, and these people's relatives stayed at home and cowered.
Yeah.
About how the real issue is that this was going to cause a racial backlash against the Sikh community. So a Sikh individual stabs a white person, his brother calls 999, lies to the police, and says it was a racial attack. When they show up to the scene, he also falsely claims that it's a racial attack, and the actual issue of this murder of a white person and a Sikh person using racism in order to shield himself from responsibility from that murder, and the police 100% buying into it because as a matter of policy, they are trained to do so, is actually racism against the Sikhs. And make no mistake about it, you shouldn't be racist against Sikh individuals. They are a religious sect that typically...
He's trying to say Sikh, not Sikh, but he's saying Sikh. And once again, guys, Sikh people are good people, all right? This guy, he's just one of those off ones, but he's indicative of the system that's been protecting the other people from sandy areas.
You're absolutely right.
But yeah, Sikhs usually don't cause problems. They're usually good people to have around. If you see Sikh people in your neighborhood, guys, there really usually isn't much to worry about. You know what I'm saying?
The real perpetrator is the system.
Yeah,
that's the real perpetrator that caused this, because it could under a decent system.
What was this guy's background? You said that he had he'd been like in and out of jail, and he had mental health issues, and
he stole. I'm not joking. He stole a huge bunch of like ceremonial knives from his own Sikh temple. Like this guy is an absolute reprehensible just demon.
Yeah,
who shouldn't even be. He would be fine being in Bangladesh somewhere.
I guess he was Sikh in the head. Oh,
he was seeking help.
Oh,
he did a little bit of seek and destroy. Oh.
I mean, guys, I know this is kind of somber. This is sad. We got to add some levity to it. You know what I'm saying? It's just sad. It really is, you know? So
if we're being perfectly honest, by the numbers, when they're involved in criminality, they're usually being victimized. And usually if there's a racial component to it, they're being mistaken for Muslims and being attacked, or at least that is how I typically end up encountering these stories. But as a friend of the channel,
I don't know why he still lives in New York City, dude. I don't know why. Dude, bro. Man, you gotta leave, man.
A guy called Tryman, who happens to be a Sikh himself, ended up telling me there's actually an offset of Sikhs, and this is becoming a problem in Canada, that are essentially like a Sikh equivalent of Palestinians, that they want their own independent state. Basically, it's a discount off-brand version of that. And yeah, they actually do commit some political violence, and it happens in Canada. And I'm not saying that that is connected to this particular place at all, even a little bit. But regardless, the problems with their community are typically lower than other communities that we see in the United Kingdom. And it's very important to not become what you hate when you're
guys. I know that I shouldn't have to say this, guys, but please, please, please never ever believe these stories about racism until you see the facts. Guys, I've exposed at least 2 or 3 dozen fake alleged crimes like this on this channel in the last 2 years alone. It's usually a B-dub trying to do it too, you know? Because I don't no. Someone goes, "Oh, the cops are racist." I don't believe it. "Oh, my work fired me because they're racist." I don't believe them, especially when it's a B-dub. Especially.
But where's all the body cam footage going?
Exactly. Well, it's so bad that BLM's trying to get body cams banned.
Weren't they the ones who want it instated?
Exactly.
Interesting.
That's how you know there's women in charge.
Give a lefty exactly what they want.
Exactly.
That's it.
Yeah.
Obviously, attacks on police, attacks on Sikhs, which, by the way, I don't think that's happening, mate, right now at this moment. Not a good thing. It is not something that I endorse. And by the way, they're trying to paint Nigel Farage as somebody who endorses this because he said that there should be cold rage, which, by the way, some people in the British press have misquoted him intentionally, saying that he's calling for cold white rage related to this. And again, this is how they operate. This is what they do. White person murdered. The use of racism in order to forward that murder definitely happened. The police side with the minorities, and yet somehow the real issue is still white supremacy.
Think of this. The biggest fear a police officer now has going about his or her duty on the street is the fear of being reported for having acted in a way that was racially biased.
He's right, guys. And guys, that's how cops were here, you know, since 2020, and now it's starting to turn around. And guys, go on TikTok. You even have B-Dub saying, "Man, I used to be all George Floyd until I started watching body cam stuff on YouTube, and now I think that the cops are right most of the time, guys."
Yeah.
And what do we always say, right, guys? When the B-Dubs start making sense, that's how you know we're cooked. That's how you know we're cooked. You know.
Well, with the body cams, you can observe, like, people are able to observe like raw evidence, and it's actually fairly entertaining. So people are actually watching it. But what B-Dubs have noticed, and I created this formulation, this called Floyd's Law. Floyd's Law is by the time the cuffs go on somebody to the time they say they can't breathe, which happens like 50% of the time, that's Floyd's Law. So whatever that time is, because it happens probably half of the time. They say, "I can't breathe," because of Mr. Floyd. We'll just call him Mr. Floyd. But if you pay attention to that, you'll notice that people say this pretty frequently, probably 40% of the time they'll say it. So I created Floyd's Law.
And it's all people now, especially
it's all people. Yeah, it's all people. That's what I'm saying. It's Floyd's Law.
How many times do we see? Yeah.
Isn't it poetic that Henry said the same thing? It's so poetic to me that this was actually a real form of the state putting the boot in.
Yes, what happened to this kid is what they claim happened to George Floyd. This kid was a regular, college kid, doing good, no criminal record, good kid, minding his own business. George Floyd, he was none of that. None of that. and yet there's statues to that moron, but not to this kid. It's crazy.
Yeah, slinging drugs and using fake money to try and pass off. Like, come on now.
Yeah.
Fear.
Hey, nothing
Now
is
greater
Newport under the
for
sun.
dealing with a
Oh!
dying man living on the ground. Henry's family have responded to this in just the most extraordinarily dignified way. But I suggest the rest of us respond to this with pure, cold rage. This is wrong. All the values and standards of living in a free
He's trying to say that white people need to go out there. He didn't say any of that.
country where everybody is judged equally before the law have been trashed and thrown away.
Nigel Farage has said in response to this, we should respond to this with white, cold rage.
Look at that. They just lied. You guys.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen that.
Man, this guy is trying to take the One Ring to freaking Mount Doom, dude.
Look at this Gollum looking.
My God.
Do you agree with it?
No.
We saw riots on the streets of...
But I suggest the rest of us respond to this with pure, cold rage.
Yeah, these people are reprehensible, and Keir Starmer is one of the worst of the worst.
If the public lose trust in being treated fairly by the police, can he take some action, end this divisive practice of two-tier policing, and make sure that all British citizens are treated the same?
Piss off, Nigel, you wanker.
Mr. Speaker, I don't believe there's two-tier policing in this country.
There it is, guys. Hold on. Where's the thing? Hold on. They're actually saying that they actually said. Hold on. Sorry, guys. One second. They actually had a thing where it was showing that that there was there's policies on the books to treat white dudes differently than anyone else.
Oh yeah, that's been for a while.
Yeah, this is years ago, and now this is an actual thing. I'll have to find it because I covered this maybe like a year and a half ago, but they've straight up said that because of historical injustices, they're going to give white dudes more time for the same crime as women, blacks, Indians, etc. What a joke!
I'm really shocked that he pretends to have respect for Henry's family.
Please.
And then acts in this way.
Two-tier Keir, as he is called, and accurately so, because of course he denies the allegations, or alizations as the super mayor will call them,
false allegations and not facts,
of two-tier policing. But in reality, we all know and understand that the Home Office is going to be cracking down on people saying the wrong thing on social media much more than this community, which, by the way, had multiple members of this guy's family involved in the murder that have yet to be prosecuted. And in addition to that, the police officers involved have yet to be named. And in addition to that, they weren't even suspended. They weren't disciplined in any way. They weren't fired. I think that's a bare minimum. In a previous video, I said, you know what? They kind of aided and abetted this particular situation. They showed all the racial disdain. And by the way, 100% acted in the way that people pretend the officers in the George Floyd, Derek Chauvin case acted. But in reality, and yet we're not even having a discussion about
exactly. That's the problem.
You see how the police didn't handcuff him?
Yeah.
They handcuffed the guy who was on the floor immediately. And in fact, if you guys want to know, that when they took him to the police station, they took him uncuffed, even though poor Henry had perished on the ground. They took him to the kitchen in the police station and asked him what he wanted for his tea.
Ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
Gentlemen, we meet again.
Say again?
Gentlemen, we meet again.
Dante, how you doing, man?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good, man. Have you heard this whole story, Dante?
Yep. Sheer lunacy.
Sad, isn't it? And guys, once again, there's no reason why people in England shouldn't be able to say that we would prefer that our country remains a majority English.
Yep. Here's a
There's nothing wrong with that.
Here's a classic James Baldwin quote. the most dangerous creation of any society is the man who has nothing to lose.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice, that's a great quote.
Yeah. Which is funny because it's a blanket statement, but it's really a towel statement. Oh!
Discipline, let alone criminal
What actually
prosecutions
happened,
in the
though? I don't actually know. I didn't really get
This
I've been
kid,
at
he was
work and stuff.
walking
I didn't
home
really see any
at
of
like
this.
1 a.m. and this crazy dude just, I don't know if he accidentally walked through the guy's garden or what, but this creator stabbed him 5 times, and the kid ran, and the Sikh dude's family, anonymous, did they call the cops or did the
They called the police to say that they've been racialized against, and Henry in the video is hiding under a car in the next door neighbor's garden. That's not even their house that I've heard. It's their next door neighbor's garden, and the police drag him out from under the car, through the gravel and everything, and instantly handcuff him, even though he's begging that he'd been stabbed.
Yeah, he just had 5 times and he's bleeding out, and then they're like, "Oh no, you haven't been stabbed."
Well, he's not a member of the protected class.
Yeah.
No, I don't think you have, mate. Yeah.
Wow.
United Kingdom. Again, two-tier Keir, who kneeled for George Floyd, encouraged the Black Lives Matter riots that had nothing to do with the United Kingdom, even a little bit. But all of a sudden, in this particular case, they're really hard.
One other thing. See how they'll put a racial agenda before anything else, including when you're bleeding? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
These agendas and I'm not comparing myself to this in any way, but I had a thing where I got injured and I was bleeding in urgent care, and they were putting so much protocol. It's like, can you see how I'm bleeding? Let's handle the bleeding first, and then I'll do your paperwork and everything that we need to do. But that's not how that people are so robotic. They must do what the system tells you.
Yeah,
even if you're bleeding out. I'm not comparing myself to him, but
what I'm saying is, if it's medicine, though, once again, we have this thing that they have to cover it. I mean, they can't just okay.
They have to bow to a small hat before they start you bleeding.
No. Well, listen, this is like why us guys, if you see a woman drowning or have guys, leave her alone, because you know how many guys have been sued because they stopped to help a woman. There was a firefighter. Did you guys see that? There was that ride stuck up in
who are the people that come in and sue them?
Listen. This firefighter got this woman off the ride, and now he's being charged for SA.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
By the hands of a small man.
No, it's anyone who wants to make money.
Good Samaritan laws don't
look. It's
Jack these days.
Yeah, we're in a litigious society as a whole. White people sue people, black people sue. It's people who want to sue people and make money. That's just the way it works, right?
Everything seems to be rewarding everyone's negative tendencies.
Yes.
It gives everyone
in the United States, you can sue for basically anything. That's how it works, because we've seen these landmark cases of people getting sued by all kinds of people for all kinds of people. I think that there was a loophole in our civil courts, and it's been exploited by everyone involved at every level to make money.
They drove a damn Mack truck through it.
Yeah, I wish that I could say that it was just one group, but it's not like the small hats are out here advertising. It's people saying, "Look, I want to make money, so I'm gonna go to Snowboard's house and I'm gonna throw myself down the stairs."
Yeah,
and say, "Oh, well, his carpet was worn and he didn't tell me, so I'm gonna sue his homeowner's insurance."
It's not just them; it's also the people the people who run the prisons. It's all the people that collecting the money. Like lawyers, all these people.
They're overly jubilant to sue you. Is all I'll say. Nothing makes them happier than to just.
What I'm saying is
sue the pants off somebody.
Is that people have this weird thing where they act like a civil case is somehow proof that you did something. It's like a lot of people they can't go to criminal court, so they open a civil case where the burden of proof is a lot less, and then oftentimes people will settle, so just get it over with. You know what I mean? Guys, never admit to something you didn't do, especially famous people. They'll be like, all I need to do is just give this person 50 grand and they'll shut up and leave me alone. Because that's oftentimes what happens is if the longer the civil trial goes, the more of your personal life goes out into the public. You know what I'm saying? They say that's actually why Michael Jackson settled. Is because he's just tired of having his private life out there. So he is settled.
It's almost like a containment strategy.
Yeah.
Just like, I don't want anyone knowing. There's your money. Leave me alone.
This stabbing incident is a prime example of why the Second Amendment must be protected and preserved at all costs. Because
absolutely,
even if you get rid of guns, they'll find something else to kill you with.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep.
For on this channel, where you had an individual who in protest was burning the Quran outside of a Turkish embassy. A Turkish national ends up stabbing him. He tries to murder him over his freedom of speech. And guess what? They arrest the guy burning the Quran. They charge and convict him, even if it was reversed on appeal later. They charge.
What we're seeing, and I talk about this a lot, is an inversion of justice, an inversion of what's right, an inversion of what's logical, and a version of what makes sense.
Yep.
That's basically what we're seeing here.
But it's under the guise of like wokeism and quote unquote fair treatment. That's the problem, and that's why the left is.
Well, that's like the delivery vehicle, but it is an inversion.
But that's why the left is so much more dangerous than the right. Because they will sell you BS and tell you that they're good people while they're doing it. Tradcons kind of do the same thing where they're on this righteous thing and they say God told them to do it. But the people on the left are like, oh, we're trying to help the downtrodden and we're just good, morally great and awesome. And they think that they just automatically have some universal moral high ground. And if you don't believe in them and what they're doing, you're a istaphobe, blah, 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 blah. And that makes them way more dangerous.
Oh, yeah. I would say they're definitely more dangerous. But I do think it's like an inversion. Even what they want to do with genders and masculinity, they're inverting it. Like that's kind of like what they're doing. Like I don't think they know they're doing it, but that is kind of like what they're doing.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Call you out if you talked about the over 30 people who were killed during the course of those riots. You brought up David Dorn. They try to shut down the conversation. You brought up anybody who is gunned down in a looting spree or anything of the sort. They'd be like, no, we're not talking about that. You're trying to distract from the evil white racism in the policing system, even though, again, the George Floyd case, bare minimum, far more ambiguous than this particular case.
Kind of stunned that you couldn't bring yourself to say that you agree with the statement that white lives matter as much as black lives. I can't understand why you can't just confirm you agree with that statement.
Zia, you're the senior member of a party. You're a politician. My job is to hold you to account. So I'm asking.
Oh, please.
The lie detector.
You're a shill 304 news network media puppet hoe.
You would think that after she got completely bodied by Jordan Peterson, that she would just leave. She would stop. But guys, these people, they're so. It must be like borderline personality disorder.
Kathy, you need to go back and read the freaking weather or something. Like this is pathetic.
Yeah.
They double and triple down on it.
Yeah.
And I would love you to answer that question about racism against black and minority ethnic people by the police. There are a lot of people who are angry because they see every day, the stop and search data. They see that. They see the deaths of black people in police custody. And they're saying, where is your anger about that?
Give me a recent example.
Again, I don't understand why you can't bring yourself to confirm that you agree with the statement that white lives matter as much as black lives.
Again, these news segments are insane. That Yusuf guy, that MP for the Reform Party, he is not calling on this lady to say white lives matter absolutely in just strict terms. He's asking her to acknowledge that white people matter, their lives, just as much as anyone else. And look at Kathy Newman struggle with that. Look at her absolutely panic because no, she does not believe that. that the narrative is all about propping up the minorities at the expense of white people, because of these people are left-wing race communists and they do believe it is a zero-sum game.
With his final words, he told officers that he could not breathe. He told them he had been stabbed. In fact, Henry told officers that he could not breathe 9 times. He told them he had been stabbed 4 times. The response from one officer was, "I don't think you have, mate." The police have said they were misled by the murderer and that the scene when they arrived was complex. Unfortunately, it seems to us the truth is much simpler. The police were told by our son himself and by a member of the public who called 999 that they heard someone shout that they had been stabbed.
Damn.
But the police did not believe them.
Yep.
Henry was pulled across the gravel, his hands forced behind his back, and he was placed in handcuffs. Instead of being treated as a dying victim, police formally arrested Henry for assault and read him his rights. That was the last thing he heard.
I guess they didn't know.
Yeah, guys. Oh no. Look at the rallies, guys. There's black people. There's all types of people at these rallies that are pro England and against woke stuff. You know what I'm saying, guys? Look at how many black people support TR. They don't want the people from sandy areas there either. Guys, if you immigrate to the UK from Jamaica, right, from Ghana, why would you want to go to a place where there's a bunch of people from Lebanon or Syria there? Why? Afghanistan. Why? They have nothing in common. It's threatening to the way of life that they immigrated legally to Britain for in the first place.
Henry did not die with dignity. He did not die with the care he deserved. He lost consciousness before anyone believed him.
Now, many people have pointed out that the father of Henry Nowak ended up giving this particular speech where he talked about the two-tier justice system and many of the things that are being brought up in the conversation from people that are on Nowak's side. But he also says that he doesn't want this to be used to actually divide the country more. And yeah, that is respectable. That is commendable. And I completely understand you not wanting the person that you love to be transformed into some kind of symbol that exists beyond him and to be utilized for political gain. But again, these people that are on the other side of this issue, they want to use this for political gain. They want to turn this somehow into an anti-white narrative. That is what they're pushing. And I don't think it's dishonoring even to the wishes of the father to point out that we need to at least change the policies within the police department that, again, defers to the minority, defers to the accusation of evil white racism over somebody saying that they were stabbed to death. I don't think that's out of step with what the father wants, even though, again, it's clear that he really does not align with many of the people who are trying to use this for political purposes. And again, justifiably so.
Let me be absolutely clear. We hold Vikram Digwa solely and 100% responsible for the brutal murder of our son. But Henry should not have died on the streets of Southampton in police custody. The way he was treated was inhumane and degrading. His murderer, however, was afforded decency. He was believed. He was not handcuffed when arrested. He was not handcuffed when transported to the police station. As far as we understand, he was never handcuffed at all.
Damn, look at that.
You can give him a ticket tape.
As Vikram Digwa himself told the court, whilst under arrest for Henry's murder, police even took him to the kitchen so he could choose his food.
Look at that.
There we go.
It's unbearable.
What happened on that body cam is indicative of a broader problem that is not just something that is embedded in the police departments throughout the UK, but in addition to that, it is embedded in UK government at multiple levels, and it is propped up by the people that are supposed to represent them in the culture, because many of these news segments where people are making the story about how, oh my God, why are you upset about this? They actually work for the BBC. These are people who, again, are being funded by the British taxpayer there, and they're using that.
Okay, here you go. Let's go.
Written by the three-letter W organization, no doubt.
Yep, that's true. Look at this, guys.
In far abolition. Mark, when you say abolition, are you actually advocating?
This guy really needs to get kicked in his throat, dude. I can't stand this guy, guys. And he just takes so many L's over and over and over again. The fact that this guy is some type of black leader academic shows how pathetic that the black community really is. Who listens to this guy? He's a total clown.
It's only podcasters that listen to this guy. It's where most of his views
I've never
come
even
from.
seen him before.
Well, he tried to give a talk at this HBCU, Dante. You remember in this B-dub pepper sprayed him? He walked up in his face. He said,
yeah.
"I'm gonna kill your bitch ass, bitch!"
Now I remember.
Pepper sprayed him right in his face. That's what I'm talking about.
For abolishing the police altogether.
I am, yes. Right now, you have Nigel Farage, and he said the following. I suggest the rest of us respond to this with pure cold rage.
Nigel looks like a wanker.
I can't breathe. The chilling words.
What'd you say, Dante?
Nigel looks like a wanker.
So does
An
Pierce
18-year-old
Morgan,
student.
too. Pierce Morgan is just
Henry
like a
Nowak, as he lay dying.
But at least, say what you want about.
I do
Nigel.
respect him as a broadcaster a
Nigel
little bit, but I also
Farage.
hate him too.
Say what you want about Nigel Farage, but at least he's trying to do something.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about Pierce Morgan.
You know what I mean?
I like Nigel Farage.
Yeah, the whole Reform Party, they're gonna treat them like the Tea Party or like MAGA. It's like, well, I mean, yeah, you can villainize them all you want, but they got Orange Man elected twice. You know what I'm saying? Think about all the negative press that what is it? They said Orange Man has got I think it's he's only president where they've actually tracked 80% of all the news stories about him are negative. 80%, 8 out of 10 articles, news reports are negative, and he still got elected twice. You know, so
Lying in handcuffs, falsely accused of a racist attack by the man who just stabbed him, as it turned out, to death. The video is harrowing, but it should be seen far and wide by as many people as possible.
My head. Are you injured?
Yeah, I've got swollen eye, little bruise.
All right, just step back a little bit for me. Grab his other arm.
Look at this. Freaking
What's happened to you, all right? You've been stabbed? Whereabouts? Don't think you have, mate.
I'm on littering charges for bleeding out on the street.
Well, the police officers didn't believe he'd been stabbed. One of them actually told him directly. They read him his rights and cuffed his hands even as he lay dying. The officers did believe Vikram Digwar, Henry's Sikh killer, who stayed at the scene of the murder he just committed to falsely accuse his dying victim of a racist assault. The parallels with George Floyd are clear, but it's not about martyrdom. It's about how society and culture responds to tragedy and outrage. Black Lives Matter had global support to begin with, but unity in a crisis doesn't last for long. Facts change. People fight about the solutions. Fanatics in either camp use the public's passion to push fanatical ideas. And that's how BLM mutated into an obsession with racism and identity, hand in hand with believing all victims and assuming guilt. That's how you end up with official guidance from police chiefs, which says that officers should...
Look at that. This is on the police's website. Anti-racism and racial equity. Our commitment to anti-racism means taking a stand against racism in all forms, proactively identifying, understanding all racial inequalities and policing, reforming policies and practices that lead to people from different ethnic groups being over-policed, underprotected, or marginalized. Working with partners to tackle the racial inequities that exist in wider society and that are reproduced and exacerbated by policing. Look at this. Producing the equality of a policing outcomes for people from different ethnic groups. Look at that. Literal Marxism, guys.
If that's not a red flag, I don't know what is. Huge red flag.
Producing the equality of policing outcomes.
How can it be equal when people were different?
No. You cannot have equal outcomes, guys.
No.
Cannot. That's impossible unless you have straight up authoritarianism, the likes of which the world only sees in North Korea. Guys, think about how stupid so Marxism is socialism is. Anonymous.
Yep.
How tall are you?
5'9".
Okay. And how much do you weigh?
About like 170, I think.
Okay, guys, I'm 6'3" and I'm 250, right? If the government gives Anonymous and I the same amount of food, every day, are we gonna have an equal outcome?
No, you're bigger than me.
You would shrink, AJ, if you.
Thank you. Yeah. Imagine if everyone said, everyone in said thing is the average. Let's just take Anonymous aside because he's 5'10", 170. That's no average. So everyone's dietary size has to be based on the average. Well, if I'm 6'3", I'm not getting enough food, and if you're 5'1", I mean, you're gonna have more than you need. That's crazy.
I don't think you'd want my English food anyway, so it just means more for me.
Any 6-footers on the panel besides AJ and me?
What's that?
Any 6-footers on the panel besides AJ and me?
Yeah. Well, my license says 5'11", but if I don't slouch, yeah, I'm 6 foot right on the dot.
I'm over 6 foot.
Okay, we represent the 14% of the population that are 6 feet and over.
No, that's in the United States.
In the U.S., yeah.
About the world?
We're probably even a smaller percentage.
Yeah. And somehow there are people who want to have the same equal outcomes in society. How does that even work?
Well, there's a lot of Americans that are 6 foot sideways, so I
Treat white people and minorities differently. Our commitment to racial equity means producing equality of policing outcomes for people from different ethnic groups. It
crazy.
says. The equality of policing outcomes should be directly connected to whether you committed the crime and nothing else. It's hard to imagine that any of this language would exist without the post-BLM climate of hysteria, which led to branding everything from cricket to the actual countryside as institutionally racist. But since this whole thing is about overcorrection, about bad reactions to genuine outrage, we have to look at what's happened since. Henry's father said this.
We do not want his death to be used to create further division, hatred, or
characteristics like skin color should define everything, and that one group inevitably abuses the other. The other can't see the trap they're falling into, or more likely, they can, and they're doing this for vengeance. We should all be incensed by Henry Nowak's murder and demand it never happens again. But nothing ever gets better if you simply repeat the same.
Wayland, you are correct, but you're wrong. Here, he says, even in communism, there's no equal outcome. They claim it is, but there's definitely hierarchy: the rich, the poor, and no middle class. No, there's a have and the have-nots, okay? Which is even worse than the rich and the poor. Because the rich at least somehow worked to get this said thing, or they earned it. In communism, they just stole it from everyone else. Because, guys, the hierarchy is people decide what's fair, okay? Someone has to collect said things and enforce that fairness. Well, who's going to stop? Wait, who are they going to be transparent and show that they're being fair? No, because they have all the power. They own the distribution. The people might own the means of distribution, as I always say, but who owns the means of distribution to the people of said goods to the people, right? Those people have the power. And what's the first thing that they always do?
Is get more for themselves.
Yeah, they take away the guns. They take away the firearms, so that the ones that are trying to enforce said quote unquote fairness, and I use that term loosely, they're the ones that have the power and the firepower, you know?
Same mistakes. Well, joining me in the studio for the first time, actually, is Michael Knowles, host of the Michael Knowles Show. Michael, you're in England, you're in London, you're in my studio. It's a trifecta of joy.
It's good to be with you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Really great to see you here to talk at the Oxford Union, amongst other things, but it's great to have you here, particularly for what is going to be, I think, a very pertinent debate, and I'll be very interested in your views on this. We're also joined by Mark Lamont Hill, the host of Vet
God, he's
News.
such a simp, dude. I can't stand this guy.
By Wajahat Ali, the author of the Left Hook newsletter, and Dave Smith, host of Part of the Problem. So a really top-class panel, and indeed he's now incarcerated. Here we have again, in the UK, we have at least one
Here's
police.
the thing about this idiot right here, guys. He can't take himself outside of the American racial lens and understand that they're talking about another country that has a completely different view on race and ethnicity.
I'm going to drop off and become a fly on the wall.
All right, my
I'll
friend.
Talk to you guys later.
Take it easy, all right? Yeah.
Hey AJ, I've just been called on a job. I'm gonna have to jet, but I really appreciate you bringing up this subject to people.
Anonymous, I'll send you this just one link, guys. There's this kid took his mom's new Porsche. I don't know if you guys saw it. His friend's like, let's see how fast it'll go. He rolled it, it blew up, and his friend got cooked on the inside. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. So I'll send that to you. All right, my friend.
No problem. Thanks a lot. Bye.
One who just not only refused to believe that Henry Nowak had been stabbed, but the police collectively bought into the killer's story that he had been the subject of racial abuse and that was what was really going on here, which turned out all to be complete nonsense. I don't want to read too much into this, as some people want to. People calling for civil war and the rest of it. I don't want to read too little into it, Michael. This to me was a horrific thing, which is a stain on the British police. And I do think was a direct consequence of a lot of the fallout from the BLM period, where I think a lot of institutions swung the pendulum too far the other way and began to make terrible miscalculations, as we saw in this moment, where their first thought was to believe a claim of racism which turned out to be untrue. What is your perspective on this?
Well, the parallels between the Henry Nowak killing and George Floyd are undeniable. They use the very same words, the very same dying words, I can't breathe. The difference is this. Henry Nowak actually was who the left pretended and tried to make George Floyd out to be.
Now, guys, I hate to have to agree with Michael Knowles. I really do. This is how bad this case is when an absolute dunderheaded tradcon dunce like Michael Knowles is correct. You know, guys, Michael Knowles just drives me insane. He really does. You know, but he is correct.
Was the big difference. You know, we can look at the killing of George Floyd and say it was very sad and it shouldn't have happened and this could have changed or that could have changed. But the fact is, the police were there because George Floyd had committed a crime. George Floyd ingested 4 times the lethal limit of fentanyl. George Floyd then resisted arrest for minutes and minutes on end. And so the use of force by Derek Chauvin was a use of force of last resort. In this case here, you have this poor guy, Henry Nowak, who is bleeding to death on the ground. And the police actually are showing you a 2-tiered system of justice that actually is racially discriminatory. That is all of the things that we were told were going on with the George Floyd case. The difference is in this case, there was absolutely no explanation, no justification whatsoever. It was the police taking the side of a perpetrator over the victim, refusing to believe the victim, I think, pretty clearly on the basis of his race.
Mark Lamont Hill, your response to that?
You know what's funny, guys? What was I gonna say to you guys? Snowboard. Have you seen the whole thing with that guy up in Maine? You guys, that guy, he's like running for Senate or Congress, and he has the Germans of that particular time period tattoo, and now it turns out that he's been cheating on his wife with multiple chicks and banging 304s, guys. And guys, this chick on The View says she would still vote for him just because he's a Democrat.
Jesus Christ.
What a joke, guys. What a joke. That's how that's how twisted they are. You know, and guys, I also saw this other story with this YouTuber. He's getting in trouble because him and his wife, they got pregnant, and it turns out that their kid tested positive for the yay gene. So of course, they went down. They went down to the clinic, and now everyone's like, "That's ableist. You guys are discriminatory. You guys are discriminating against Down syndrome."
There are a few things that were said. So one, the police in the George Floyd case certainly used excessive force, and the force that they used wasn't a last resort. There were other measures they could have used, including not having their foot on his neck. Even after he was subdued, they still used excessive force. I think that's sort of indisputable at this point. And yes, a crime was committed allegedly, but police are often around when crimes are committed. You know, the whole job of being a police officer is to manage circumstances and situations when crimes are committed. And too often in this country and in your country, we see that when crimes are committed, police are an escalating force rather than a de-escalating force. I don't think this is a moment to say, hey, you know, the truth is white guys are the ones who are catching all the hell, or non-black.
Because you have no clue what's going on, you absolute dingleberry. Someone says, crazy times that we live in when a killer can call the police and the police finish the job. Yep. Look, as someone says, this is the first time that this guy here didn't want to talk about racism. Yeah, because it's clear. It's clear that this is what it was. It was anti-white racism.
Black or brown people are the ones catching all the hell when it comes to policing in this ostensible two-tiered system of justice. I think a better way of thinking about it is this is an opportunity for us to think about policing differently. This is an opportunity for us to think about force differently. And this is an opportunity to think about either reform or, in my tradition, abolition differently with regard to policing in the streets and policing in our neighborhood.
When you say abolition, Mark, hang on, Mark. When you say abolition, are you actually advocating for abolishing the police altogether?
I am, yes. But I think it's more important.
You have no police force at all.
That is what I'm saying. And I'm offering alternatives to
That's
policing.
anarchy.
So it's not that we fire all the police and let the citizens run themselves. There are other mechanisms and systems that we can install that like public safety forces, like drug treatment forces, like violence forces,
like police and stuff, like that.
Yeah, they always say that until Nug shows up. And starts shooting at the social workers. The
jobs that police are.
You guys saw. You guys remember in Hollywood, they tried to have like a de-escalation force, and there was that one guy getting jumped by two dudes, and that de-escalation guy was just standing there. He's like, they don't pay me enough to get involved.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Go help him. He's like, hell no.
Yep, and you know what Nug said? He's like, damn, that escalated quickly.
Doing, but better prepare those forces to create safe environments and safe neighborhoods. But I just want to finish the other thought before we get distracted by the abolition point here.
It's a pretty big point to distract the debate, I have to say. I mean, I hear you, but
it's no more of a distraction.
Let's abolish the police. I mean, that's an extraordinary thing to say.
I'm glad that you find it extraordinary, but it's no more of a distraction than pointing to George Floyd's alleged crimes when we're talking about an incident that happened all the way across the Atlantic. In both cases, we can focus just on this incident, and that's what I'm just trying to do.
It's not alleged. He committed a whole rap sheet. Literally, a rap sheet of crimes. But they're not alleged crimes. He was blatantly in the wrong for like a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And he gobbled a bunch of drugs.
This is the thing that people don't get. And there was a recent video that had come out. I think I posted it in the Discord. This Nug, he got pulled over and he swallowed a whole bunch of crack and he OD'd at the police station. You know what I'm saying? And he died. And he told the cops that he didn't eat anything. You know what I mean? So people are like, well, why didn't the cops what are the cops supposed supposed to pump his stomach, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Looks like the guy swallowed his pride. Oh! So I heard that some people actually used to do that. They would put like a little bit of like crack in like a small like balloon type thing, and they would call it like a heart attack. So they would like take it, and all of a sudden they'd be like cracked out like crazy. So it'd be like an internal way of taking crack. I've heard actually some people have done that, but the amount that that guy did was probably like enough for like doing it like 8 times. You know what I mean? I wouldn't suggest somebody doing that, but I'm saying that it's still, the body will still like digest it essentially.
That there's these people who will swallow all this crack and all this coke and stuff, and then try and fly, and one of the balloons will bust in their stomach, and they'll be ODing on the plane. You know, so
yeah, exactly.
A very simple one. What happened here was awful. The police should be held accountable, but we shouldn't be seeing. I don't want to see violence in the streets. I don't want to see people harmed. I just want to take it as an opportunity to figure out.
Unless it's for the George Floyd thing, you dumb. What a joke.
How we can handle this situation differently. And it doesn't mean giving different outcomes to people based on whether they committed the crime or not. Even if I commit a crime, I still shouldn't be beaten or shot or stabbed. I shouldn't be choked out of my life. No matter what happens, I should still be given an opportunity to have a fair hearing, a fair trial, and due process. And that's for everybody. I don't care what.
But he was, Mark. I mean, I guess that's the point. The reason there's a George Floyd parallel here is because of the claims of two-tier justice and racial discrimination and those very words, I can't breathe. And the distinction I'm pointing out here is, in the case of George Floyd, he was resisting arrest. The police didn't immediately go to putting their knee on his back or on his neck. They tried to subdue him, and he was acting erratic, perhaps in part because he'd ingested 4 times the lethal dose of drugs. And in the case of Henry Nowak, none of that occurred whatsoever. Henry Nowak was bleeding out on the ground, and he said, "I've been stabbed." The killer said he hasn't been stabbed, and the female cop says to the killer, "Yeah, I know, but I guess we have to check anyway, don't they?"
Guys, this is the problem with the left. Colin, Snowboard, Brent, all you guys, you white guys, to this idiot here in the middle, you guys aren't even human beings.
Yeah.
You're not even human beings. You're evil, horrible, racist colonizers. That's all you are. That's all you are. You're not even human beings. They can't even relate to you guys on a basic human level.
Yeah.
This guy is everything that he claims white supremacists are.
Yep. Yeah.
It's disgusting. It really, and guys, this is why no one in their right mind can call themselves a Democrat. No one. Because idiots like this are prominent in the Democratic Party. AOCs, Ilhan Omar's, Kamala Harris, all of them. Why would you show out for a group of people who hate your guts, who would, if they could snap their fingers, calling someone, they would make you disappear off the face of the planet.
Yep.
Horrible.
There was a two-tiered system here. There was racial discrimination. I guess I'm just pointing out that what happened to Henry Nowak is the real version of what people pretended happened to George Floyd.
Well, I mean, look, I'll bring in Dave Smith here. I mean, Dave, my opinion about both is that neither man should have died. Now, I will qualify that by saying that from all the professional accounts, it is more likely than not that Henry Nowak would have bled out anyway, whatever the police did.
What does that matter?
And it's important to caveat the debate, I think, with that knowledge that was what was established in court. They all said, all the experts, that in that situation, it would be highly unlikely that he would have survived. However, what we've now seen on video in our own eyes, as we saw with George Floyd in a very different way, but we saw completely unnecessary, very prolonged kneeling on somebody's neck until he passed out and then died. To me, that's completely unacceptable, whatever the circumstances.
But here's the thing. These cops were there. They didn't even try and save this kid's life. They didn't even see if he was in trouble. They didn't get... they didn't assess... the situation at all. And that's the officer's number one job, is to assess the situation.
Leading up to it, in relation to Henry Nowak, we saw an unbelievably callous disregard for an 18-year-old man who was literally dying in that moment on the ground. And they didn't not only not believe him, but they had immediately believed his killer, who had invented this version of events which suited him based on race. And I think the line that can be drawn between the two is I do think that the hysteria that followed George Floyd's killing, and I think that's an accurate word, whether people agreed with the level of it or not, it was hysterical. I've never seen anything quite like it around the world, led to rioting all over America. The direct line is surely that the pendulum that swung violently then against institutions to be more racially sensitive, DEI programs and all the rest of it, I think there is a causal link here to the thinking of these police officers in the UK in the way they handled this incident. And that is why I think there is a genuine link, notwithstanding the deaths of two people. What do you think?
Well, I guess I largely agree with what you're saying. And I do think that in the case of George Floyd, I think pretty clearly, and Michael is right. There was a point where he was resisting, but by the time they had him down, he was subdued. There was no need to have their knee or leg on his neck for that long. And yes, I think it was a tragic situation, and I think that the cops were did not handle that the right way. But to Michael's point, listen, if just say in the UK or in the United States of America, if there had been a situation where not a person who was committing a crime, a low-level crime, and then had an incident with police after that, but just a black kid was walking down the street and a white guy stabbed him to death, and then the cops handcuffed the black dude while he was bleeding out and sided with the white dude who had just stabbed him to death, I don't think Mark would be up here saying, let's not make this a race issue.
Thank you very much. Right, guys? Thank you very much. Exactly. I couldn't have put it better myself.
I think that's the thing that's a little bit frustrating for guys like me and Michael Knowles who agree on everything. My show will be coming to the Daily Wire next month. But look, the point is this: it's not only this is how much it's a two-tiered system of justice that Michael didn't even mention. The Sikhs are the only ones who are allowed to carry these knives in public. You're telling me that your security agency, your government has actually disarmed its own. There is one group of people who's allowed to have this weaponry and one who's not. And by the way, it's not Englishmen.
So that's quite
Englishmen who are allowed to defend themselves.
Hang on.
And he is correct, guys. He is correct. Now, if it's in the United States, we have religious freedom laws. But guys, once again, we can carry knives. Guys, once again, we can carry firearms. The only people who can't legally carry them are people who are mentally ill or people who are felons. You know what I'm saying? And even there are certain states like Arizona where you're a felon, you stay out of jail for long enough, and you actually get your rights back. You know what I'm saying? To carry a firearm if you actually do everything that's required. So
hang on.
It wasn't very ceremonial in this case, was it?
Well, hang on. But just to be clear,
but you're making it seem as if Sikhs are allowed to have weapons and no one else is, and that's
I'll bring you back in, Mark.
That's literally the case,
guys.
That's literally what the rule is.
It's not literally the case.
Let me just explain what the case.
I will tell you what the rule is,
Mark. I will explain because actually it's my show. Last time I checked, so if you just let.
There you go. Good, guys. I never thought that. I hate this guy so much that Piers Morgan's the voice of reason, right, guys? Come on. And guys, once again, people don't get this is the UK. They have different laws.
Let me do the talking for a second, which is that it is an interesting case because actually it is allowed for Sikhs to carry ceremonial knives in this way, in a way that it wouldn't be for me to do the same. However, interestingly, it's pretty much the same rule in America.
What does that have to do with anything?
That you can do that as well. So we checked the Kirpan law in the USA. Carrying a Kirpan is generally protected as an exercise of religion under
you can carry knives in America.
First Amendment, but is regulated by states and local knife laws and banned from federal facilities and airports. So there is a slight caveat there.
But Pierce, we got something else that cancels out that problem.
They're called guns, yeah. Yeah, but let's not get me going on your gun rules, because we'll be here all
Well,
night.
I'm just saying, listen, I know you're not going to agree with me on this, Pierce, but my advice to all Englishmen is that you find it to be your religious belief that you have a right to a handgun.
Well,
the other
let's go, right, guys? You should have the national religion of America. Have the church of the AK-47.
Well, the other way.
in the face.
Well, the other way to
in
do
self-defense.
it. Well, the other way to do it is to go the way that France and Germany have gone, where they have actually banned Sikhs from carrying the kirpan, because they do think it creates a two-tier system in society, which I think is inarguable. The question is whether
Not talking mess now, are you dunce? Guys, I'm telling you, this is why, guys, I don't owe the black community anything. Guys, you guys are my community. You are. You really are. Because this Mark Lamont Hill and these idiots who think that they're smarter than everyone else, guys, that's what we're calling. You know what the worst part about these black academics and all these idiots here? They're just like chicks with their empowered victims, you know? Oh, well, the black man, we invented everything. We was kangs and goddess Mother Earth and blah, blah. But white supremacy keeps us down and we need reparations. Which one is it? You're either better than everyone else, smarter than everyone else, or whatever, or you're victims. And this guy lives in that in-between, that empowered victim status. It drives me absolutely nuts. Hit the like button, guys. Hit the super chat button. I appreciate that.
if you have it, and Bianca Nobilo, who does History Uncensored for me, has done a very good explainer, which we'll include as part of the show tonight, about the history of the kirpan, about the 5Ks that are part of the Sikh faith and so on, which is it's not irrelevant, because the vast majority of Sikhs, of course, wear the kirpan and never do this kind of thing. And in fact, if you take the kirpan under British law out of its scabbard, then in that moment it becomes a crime. So you can't actually take it out and brandish it or use it. It has to remain in its sheath. So I think it's complicated. It's not as simple as it seems.
No, it's not.
But it does create, Dave.
Guys, isn't that the typical liberal tactic to say, it's just complicated? You guys, you don't understand the nuance. No, it's pretty easy to understand.
As you just touched on, it does create a two-tier system where if you're not a Sikh, you can't carry that knife in my country without breaking the law. But if you are, you can. And on this case, as was established in the court, this Sikh abused that right in the most grotesque manner possible. And it turned out he had a fetish for knives. He had them all over his house. His family did. So, you know, this is one of this appalling situations where he's completely abused the system and the trust put in that system and the Sikh community. And his family conceded that in their statement. Let me bring in Wajahat here. Putting aside the issue of whether Sikhs should be allowed to carry the kirpan, and that will be, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if the UK follows the path of France and Germany and outlaws it, so there is consistency with everyone in the country. It would seem to me to make sense to do that in light of what happened here. But the link between what happened with George Floyd and what happened with Henry Nowak, do you see an issue here with Jahat, with the extraordinary fallout from what happened with George Floyd in making institutions reach a place in their heads where they start to calculate things in a way that is actually fundamentally flawed?
So let me talk about the similarities, and maybe there can be some commonalities here and we can unite. Number one, when there are victims who are saying, I can't breathe, maybe the police and maybe the rest of us should believe them. That's what happened here, where Henry Nowak, who was a young man, it's brutal. It's an absolutely disgusting tragedy. And
if you actually go and you watch the whole thing, it's bad. It really, really, really is.
I don't see anyone here villainizing Henry Nowak. I don't see anyone here valorizing or praising the police officer. That's the difference here in the United States of America, that Michael Knowles' boss has tried to get a pardon for Derek Chauvin, the convicted murderer of George Floyd. I don't see anyone here saying, you know what, this police officer, he did the right thing. I don't see anyone villainizing Henry Nowak as they villainized George Floyd. But we could all probably agree on that the fact that some of us can agree on that what happened in both those videos was tragic, disgusting, obscene. Secondly, I think all of us are saying the same thing, is that some of these police officers, they should be held accountable for their actions. I believe there should be full investigation, and this police officer should be questioned and asked, why did you not believe a stabbed, dying, bleeding man? Why were the last words that he heard is, "I don't believe you, mate"? That is horrific.
Because he's an
and I think
NPC
this is where
program
we should listen
Tylenol
to the
brain
word.
moron.
Yeah.
That's half the
because, guys,
problem.
it
is.
I think the most beta group of dudes on Earth are probably British dudes right now. No, French. I'm sorry, guys. The French. Guys, because I don't know why more news doesn't come out of France, but France is 10 times more cooked than the UK. France is, guys, everything wrong with London, Paris is 10 times worse. It smells worse, looks worse. I'm telling you guys that I don't have a lot of stories out of France, but France is way worse. You know what I'm saying? And Canada's on the way there too, right, Matt?
Oh, hell yeah. It's already here.
Yeah.
And it's French. That's the problem.
Yep.
Did you see this story, Matt, about this poor British kid?
Oh, yeah. You know what? It's not going to be long before the RC and pigs have that same story.
Yeah. Sad, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And once again, guys, the whole thing where white people can't experience racism. Yes, they can. Yes, they can. And guys, once again, there is systematic racism in Western Europe against indigenous Europeans. France, England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland.
Oh, Canada's got a huge pile of it. You know what else? It's going to love this one, AJ. Just like how the United States has everything about African Americans, they have African American studies and stuff in universities. In Canada, we have Native studies, and they are working very hard to wipe out everything that is Christianity out of Canada and replacing it with the Aboriginals' way of life. Everything. That is what we call
But here's the craziest thing about it: like these people that are for this, they don't realize that that's so stupid. Because what does it even do? It's not even. And this is the thing about Democrats, guys. They make these laws and policies that have political wins. They're not even doing anything. So they make all the streets and stuff called Hiawatha Waka Street. How is that helping the natives and helping the poor and the working class? How?
Well, I can explain that one too. It's not about that. It's about land theft. You start looking
Once again, how does that help? You know, like it doesn't help anyone other than the ruling class. You know what I'm saying? Because they take this property, and the corporations and the politicians do it. What I'm saying is, guys, I don't know if you know this, Matt, but why do the Democrats want to ban assault weapons? Anyone?
Easy it is. That way that you could be conquered. For the reason why you have the second.
No. Because it's a political win that they can manipulate people. Oh, I think it was like 2023. Only like 300 people died from rifles in the U.S. And I think that the majority of them were actually self-deletes. Over 57,000 people died because of handguns. So if you really wanted to help stop gun violence, you would ban handguns and not assault weapons, right? If they actually say that they wanted to help marginalized groups, handguns delete way more women, LGBTQ, blacks, Hispanics than what rifles do. So why don't we see the wokey wokes going after handguns? Because they really don't want to fix anything. They want to get an easy win that they can say, oh, we're trying to help children. We're trying to help anyone else. Look, guys, when you actually look at the solutions that the wokey wokes want, I need you to actually say, K Bono, who benefits? Is it an actual win, or is it a political win? Something that they can just say, look at us, we're so great. It's a joke. Absolute joke.
Of Henry's father. I want to quote him. Henry's father said, quote, "We want to use Henry's heartbreak."
Keyshawn, no. Because once again, there is more handguns there than there are anything else. You know what I'm saying? And I still believe that it's because, once again, of the whole, suburban schools where, someone goes in there. And it's the easiest way that they can get a lot of political power, clout,
Story to make change for the better. We do not want his death to create further division, hatred, or tension. I want people to sit with that for a second.
This guy has his whole speech typed up.
Floyd's family said. Now, what's happening right now in England? You know this, Piers. This is why I think this conversation is very dangerous. Right now, you have Nigel Farage, who listened to that, and he said the following. I suggest the rest of us respond to this with pure cold rage. You know what's happening right now in Southampton? Tommy Robinson, that fraud, I think you and I agreed.
No way, TR is the man. And guys, look, there are, hold on, look at this. Look at this. There have been tons of protests, guys. Check this out. Look at this. Isn't it crazy seeing a bunch of white people doing this instead of a bunch of black people? That's how bad things have gotten, man. Hold on, there's another one here. Hold on.
Did you see the one video where there was a group of cops who were retreating from a crowd, and the crowd, they were I guess it must have been garbage pickup day, and the crowd, they were throwing the garbage bins at the cops, right? And then one of the cops, he got hit in the head, and the cop says, "Oh, I've been hit in the head with a bin." And one of the protesters says, "No, I don't think you have been, mate."
Let's go, man.
UK over the murder of an 18-year-old student, Henry Nowak, with hundreds gathering in Southampton on Tuesday as anger spilled into violence. Demonstrators chanted "Henry, Henry" as they hurled stones, bricks, and chairs, clashing with police officers. It comes after the highly publicized trial of Vikram Digwa, a 23-year-old Sikh man who was found guilty of Nowak's murder last month. Nowak was repeatedly stabbed by Digwa as he made his way home from a night out with friends in December.
Dude, TR has been at this for what, 15 years now? Dude, man, I'm telling you, it might not be now. It might not be in 10 years, but one day he will be appreciated as the hero he is.
I hope they make a statue out of him.
Me too. Yep.
This isn't just about Henry. Henry could have been your son. Henry could be your son. This has gone on for so long in every town and city across our country, where as white people we're treated as second-rate citizens.
They need to stop saying white people and start saying indigenous people. Seriously. Flip the narrative, because they are indigenous to the British Isles. Like, that's what it is, To even, how is... Anyways.
By our own government, by our own police force.
Digwa, who was sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 21 years on Monday.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy work. Look at this. They had to apologize.
The key point here is that we handcuffed and arrested Henry. That's their point around dignity. And we have said...
This is one of the most English looking dudes I've ever seen in my entire life.
Sorry for that. What was filmed there is a tragedy, an absolute tragedy, and you can't help but be affected by it. It's very difficult to watch. It's difficult footage to watch, and I really feel for the family of Henry at this time, and I understand their point of view and why.
All of those uniforms, all of them, and their politicians need to be sent into Canada so they can be fed to polar bears. Keep them nice and
They're upset with the police. I understand that, and we get that. We are saying sorry for handcuffing and arresting Henry. We are genuinely saying that.
Yeah, right.
I hope the conviction of the killer in court is at least some.
It's not. It's not. What a joke, guys. What an absolute mess. You know? I just don't get, once again, these wokey-wokes, they don't even see you white guys as being human beings. Guys, never, ever, ever play in this white guilt foolishness. Guys, no one alive in the Northern Hemisphere was slaves. No one owned slaves. So what's the point? What's the point? And guys, in the UK, Canada, Australia, the United States, yes, whites make up a good chunk of the top, but they make up a good chunk of the bottom, the very bottom too. You look at the United States, those that live in the worst poverty that you could ever imagine are majority white. You go to Appalachia, you go to backwoods Louisiana, you know what I'm saying? You go to freaking the coast of Washington State.
Yeah, I would argue that Appalachia, all the places where all the fracking has completely decimated everything.
Yeah,
and
opioids too.
Yeah, I would honestly say those people, they have it worse than the black people in the ghetto hoods.
Yeah, that's true.
Over there, they don't have many people, they don't even have running water.
Yeah,
I mean. Yeah.
Look at this, guys. Really fast. Watch.
A nearly 90% rent increase. That's what a San Francisco family says they are facing in the Richmond district. They're building
90% rent increase. Colin, Seattle's going to be the same way, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt. San Francisco is catching up with Canada. They're catching up with Toronto.
Yeah, you know what? I swear California is the model for Canada.
Yeah,
it must be. Yeah.
They can fall off into the ocean for all I care. Seriously, what a joke.
Recently got new ownership, and shortly after, the family was given a notice on their door. NBC Bay Area's Jocelyn Moran joins us now. And Jocelyn, they're being told their rent is going up to $7,000.
Right, Gia, they are paying a little less than $3,700 right now for a 2-bedroom unit. So this would be nearly double. There is a rent control ordinance in San Francisco, but legal experts say there are exceptions.
Here you go for the
This is Henry, and this is the only home he's known. Zachary and Ashley Waldman moved into their 2-bedroom unit in the Richmond district in 2021, knowing that they wanted to start a family.
Obviously fell in love with the view, and the neighborhood is super family friendly for San Francisco. It's just felt like home instantly.
Their 19-month-old Henry has grown up here and goes to daycare nearby, which is subsidized. Ashley says they feel safe and comfortable here, so they were devastated when they received this notice on their door last Friday, letting them know that their rent would be going up to $7,000.
$7,000 a month. Look at that. Cooked. Who did you vote for, you dunce?
In September.
Could cry right now. I've been doing a lot of crying. this is our home. So it's
You better sell a kidney.
Really difficult.
When they first moved in, they say they were paying close to $3,500. Over the last few years, they've seen a couple of increases. They're now paying nearly $3,700.
We just had a rent increase in April for like 4.1%.
But the building recently got new ownership toward the end of May.
Yeah, and
this
all these people who work for these AI companies moving in, getting paid $200,000-$300,000 a year.
notice states that it's exempt from certain city and state laws that provide protections to tenants. When it comes to San Francisco's rent control ordinance, legal experts say it only limits rent increases in buildings that are older than 1979.
So-called new housing that was put in place after that date is not covered by the law. The law also exempts single-family homes and condominiums.
Zillow states the building on Geary Boulevard is a condominium and was built in 1996. Zachary and Ashley were under the impression they were living in an apartment under rent control rather than a condo. There's also the statewide Tenant Protection Act. Experts say...
Guys, here's the last story, then I'll log off here. Wow, watch this.
Back now at 6:13, a new at 6 scenario no parent wants to imagine. Rushing your newborn baby to the hospital, and after waiting for 90 minutes, they still left without answers.
Months later, a massive bill arrives. Are you responsible? 7 on your side, Stephanie Sierra investigates.
California,
when you go to the ER, you expect to receive care. But in this case, if you only check...
Damn, check her out. All the other chicks have been kind of mid. But, man, check out Curves over here. How you doing? Look at
She's like all these babes. You get their pilot lit, they can suck start a leaf blower.
Back in, are you still on the hook for the bill? Well, here's what happened.
Christina Ramirez was on a family trip in Vegas when her then 9-month-old son, Noah, got sick. They flew home, but Noah's symptoms didn't improve.
I got really worried because it wouldn't stop. He was having a hard time breathing.
She rushed him to the emergency room at North Bay Health in Fairfield.
We got checked in, and they took his weight, and they gave us an oxygen monitor on his finger.
Ramirez says at first they waited about 25 minutes.
We were seen by another nurse. They told us that they would do some blood work to check if he had the flu or COVID.
She says no one came. Every minute agonizing.
We waited for about an hour and 30 minutes. They did not do anything at all.
Feeling helpless, they decided to leave. Luckily, Ramirez says Noah's symptoms did improve and he wasn't in pain. That's until Ramirez got the bill. $4,914 worth of billed charges, around $737 of which Ramirez owed.
I was shocked. I have no idea how I'm gonna pay it, especially surviving on one income.
North Bay Health tells 7 on Your Side, emergency department facility charges.
No, I guess only her husband works.
Are calculated based on nursing time and hospital resources utilized to diagnose and treat the patient. But Ramirez says the interaction between Noah and the hospital staff was only about 10 minutes.
That's how they get you, right, guys? That's how they get you. But all right, guys, I'll shut this bad boy down, guys. No live tomorrow. I'll probably do a live on Sunday late, guys, probably like 9 or 10. But it'll be a basic one because, like I said, I'll be out of town. But I'll have my laptop, so we'll just shoot the shit. And then, guys, I'll have 5 p.m. streams. They'll be like compilation streams all week next week, and then I'll probably do some late night lives, probably at like 9 or 10 p.m. But I'll let you guys know in the Discord. So, but all right, guys, I appreciate you. Take these guys. Bye, guys.
All right,